Hello, and welcome to another episode of House of Decline. We're going to be talking about the good old world of webcomics again this episode, as this is tangentially related to the field and practice of webcomics. And this is something I've been wanting to talk about for a long time. It is one of the better pieces of comics journalism I've ever read, is a very interesting Twitter thread by our guest today, Bitter Karella. How are you, Bitter Karella?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. I'm happy to have you here. And the reason why we have you here is that the thread was about the webcomic Sinfest.
Yeah, it's a deep dive into 20 years of Tatsuya Ishida's masterpiece of Sinfest.
It is a freaking masterpiece. I mean, in a way, because it is this diaristic tale of a person's descent into madness, a person's slow descent into madness, made by somebody with the artistic skill to convey his subconscious hangups very accurately.
Yeah, it's just his entire id for 20 years. It's incredible. I don't know if people know. Do people know what Sinfest is anymore? I don't know.
No, I mean, that's why I wanted to do this episode, is because I was doing spaces and I was trying to explain Sinfest to Zoomers and they had no reference for it. And it's like, I need people to know about this. I need people to know about how fucking weird the trajectory of this guy was. This guy who was going to be like, who was poised to be the Kwisatz Haderach of webcomics at one point. And you know, yeah, just fumbled it, you know, just got into some really weird shit and totally squandered all of these years of goodwill he had built up, you know?
Yeah, just probably the biggest bag fumble in comics history, I would say. It is so... Sinfest, I guess I should just mention like what it actually is.
Yeah.
It is a webcomic. It started in like 1999 or 2000. So it is one of the very earliest webcomics, or at least the earliest ones that are still around. And it started as kind of a very typical like gag comic, very dude bro humor of the time. And then eventually it made a sharp turn into second wave radical feminism, which was odd to say the least.
Yeah. Why did you start reading Betty Friedan? You know, when did you start reading? Yeah. What's going on here?
Yeah, and then he became a SWERF and then a TERF. And just yesterday, I was like, well, what's he up to in the 2 years since I did this thread? And he is now just a straight up blood and soil Nazi. So yes. It is insane. It is. If you were to read Sinfest in the year 2000 and be like, oh, this is a fun little like Bloom County knockoff, you would not expect it to go where it went. It's just very strange.
Yeah, an astonishing story. It is really the story of our times, is a person acquiring a lot of goodwill and then squandering it. There are a million YouTube channels devoted to the rise and fall of Boogie 2988 or whatever, but it's also, you know, projected into our, I mean, look at J.K. Rowling or Graham Linehan, all that. And it also TERFism. I don't know what it is about TERFism, whether they stop having talent or whether TERFism sucks the talent out of you like a vampire or something like that, and you're just not able to produce quality stuff because you just have this weird thing that you fixate on constantly. But it's also like, it's a beautiful object lesson in how getting obsessed with a weird political thing might ruin you artistically sometimes. Be afraid of that. Be on the lookout for that.
Yeah, the brain worms are intense. It's all worms, no brain anymore. So
yeah, RFK, full RFK mode.
Yeah, but yeah, no, that is true because Tatsuya Ishida is a very talented artist, and just if you look at the early Sinfest, we were talking about this before we were recording. Like it was a huge thing in early webcomics because it looked so professional. It had the four squares, you know, just like a newspaper comic. Mm-hmm. It was very clean line work. It was kind of anime style, which was, you know, just getting big at that time. So yeah, it really looked like it was going to take off and be a big thing. And It didn't really, and I think a lot of that early on was just because it was a little too spicy for the newspaper.
Yeah, it dealt actively with like religion, and there were like little cheesecake anime sex stuff in it as well.
Yeah, yeah. It's all stuff that is very like, reading it on the internet, it's like, oh, this is nothing. This is like so innocuous. But like, the newspaper, of course, is for old people. So they would probably find it a little like too much.
Yeah.
So it didn't quite take off at first, but it was a very respectable webcomic. It had a huge following. It was like the big one. Every other webcomic linked to it.
It was. Well, I want to say, I don't just find like but I think what Tatsuya Ishida actually did, drawing the line between like an anime art style and like Calvin and Hobbes and Bloom County and combining them, that's genius. Actually, that's really smart, because Bill Watterson has that sort of manga draftsman style in a way. He does have that sort of almost, the way that he used inks and brushes had it bore a similarity to certain authors from the East. I don't know. I was searching for a word there. It's not
because Bill Watterson, if you look at it, his work, I do think, I don't want to say this is a very facile comparison, I think, but there's a bit of Studio Ghibli kind of feel to a lot of his landscapes. Tatsuya Ishida, I think, was like channeling a little more like Robotech anime, but wedding these styles was a huge innovation at the time. And I think, it speaks to how successful the comic was, that it predates did so well.
Avatar, The Last Airbender, which would do that sort of Western anime style to great effect. And, to someone like me, I don't know if you tried drawing anime when you were a youngster and it just always came out weird. It always came out like Western. It always came out like Avatar. It always came out like, this is like a cartoon person drawing like anime. So when I saw Tatsuya Ishida like do that style but with relative polish, it's like, ooh, there's a home for me now. I could do this. I could probably pull this off. I can't draw like fucking Naoko Takeuchi or whatever, but I can draw like this guy.
Yeah, I mean, I do think that like Sinfest probably was very responsible for the early boom in webcomics, because if you in that time period, if you wanted a model to go off of, like to show success in webcomics, you would be emulating, mostly Sinfest. I can't think of what other webcomics were around at the time that have really, withstood the test of time. I mean, we got a few are still around. I mean,
Penny Arcade's still going. C&H is still going. There's, Penny Arcade is like, the comic is, They did PAX, which is their big thing, and the people like the comic. It's still very popular, but they're sort of they had a different thing. Because I was talking to, actually on a previous episode, I was talking to Rob Den Blaker of Cyanide and Happiness, where the model has really changed. You just have to do everything now, and it's like you're pushing merch a lot of the time, because like it used to be the model was you just sell ads on your website, but social media destroyed all that. And, eventually everyone got on social media, and then Facebook and Twitter and Instagram took all these features away and made the profits more meager on that. So now it just becomes diversifying. And Tatsu, I don't think he ended up doing that, because you sort of need to push online persona. You need to be good at social media, which he's not really. He does not have the personality for it, it seems like.
No, he's very reclusive. He's always been, unlike, a lot of webcomics people are very, kind of showmen. They like being in the center of attention. They make themselves as much the product as the comic. Tatsuya Ishida is unusual in that he is all we know about him is literally just a comic. I don't think he's ever posted anything about himself. He's got a forum on his site, so I suppose he probably posts occasionally there. But I mentioned before we were talking, like the only evidence that he actually exists as a person is I heard a story from May Dean of Real Life Comics that she was at some webcomics meetup back in the 90s, and he showed up. And everyone was pretty, like wowed, like, oh my God, it's
the guy, he's
the guy.
Well, he was the hero. It's like he was the Bill Watterson of that early stage of webcomics. It's not a stretch to say that he was the one who was just outdoing everyone in terms of quality. And, you go back and you look at the jokes, and some of them they're very of the time. Some are fairly racist. Some are fairly casual, but everyone was doing casually racist. That was par for the course. That was Newgrounds era stuff.
That was because in the early aughts, that was like South Park was just a thing. Like the Man Show, Maddox and the Alphabet of Manliness was a big. It was
loved
the
that when I was in school.
Era,
Oh yeah, the bacon era. I was full into the bacon. I laughed my ass off at that. Your kids aren't. Your kids are terrible. Maddox stuff.
Yeah. And so you can see that, early Sinfest is very much of that era. It hasn't aged well, but you can't. I mean, when I look at it, I'm like, well, we were all doing that back then. I'm not gonna throw stones about this because it's it's typical like humor. You can see you can see the influence of like Bloom County kind of irreverent humor. We make fun of everyone equally, that kind of vibe.
The major character is like a combination between Calvin and Cutter John. He's literally just spliced between Calvin and no, not Cutter. Who's the main guy? Steve in Bloom County.
Steve Dallas.
Steve Dallas. He's Steve Dallas combined with Calvin. Which is that's pretty funny. Combine like two of the most iconic strip comics as well. Anime plus Bloom County plus Calvin and Hobbes plus making fun of religious people, which was also very popular at the time.
Yeah. Now, also kind of funny. I learned this little tidbit after doing the thread is that Tatsuya Ishida actually went to the same college I did, and we both had comics in the same college paper. He graduated like the year that I was the year before I was a freshman. So we just missed each other. But someone did show me the actual college newspaper version of Sinfest, and it's even more Bloom County, Calvin and Hobbes. So that predates the anime influence coming in, and it just straight up looks like he was cribbing his style from those comics.
Oh, we all do that at first,
that's how we all start. You all either start cribbing from Bloom County or Garfield. That's how it works.
Well, I was cribbing from Penny Arcade. Like my early comics are so Penny Arcade-esque. I was, those were my big guys. I really genuinely love the way that Gabe drew characters. They had that, and he was very influenced by like Steven Silver, right? The Kim Possible guy, so. Then I realized I was just drawing, secondhand Steven Silver stuff, But no, I do really respect Gabe as an artist. I like his stuff a lot.
Yeah. That's how art works. We all are influenced by things, and there's no shade in that. It's just Tetsuya. In fact, I think his early comics are like really strong. I wouldn't say that they're super funny, but like they're good gags.
They're good gags, and they have atmosphere, and the art still holds up. The art is still really good. I would show this I would use like the early Sinfest comics as an example of how to do composition in webcomics, or like they're very good for instructive stuff. He's got a good mastery of timing and form, and like I don't have enough good things. Sinfest was, I'm sure, a huge influence on me. I read a huge amount of Sinfest when I was in high school.
Yeah, it makes the fate of Sinfest all the sadder, because as he has become more and more radicalized, Sinfest, he's still a good artist.
Yes.
But he can no longer tell anything resembling a coherent story.
Yeah.
It's just, it becomes, every comic just becomes this weird horror vacui of all his weird political bugaboos just jammed together.
Yeah. The fever dream id madness that all conservative comics eventually descend into, like Ben Garrison or that George Alexopoulos guy, who's also very interesting to me because he's also a very good artist and thus is able to articulate his weird libidinal hopes and fears much more viscerally than someone who isn't as skilled a draftsman, and that's where Tatsu is. He is. Wow, you believe all this scary stuff is going on in your head, huh? This is wow. I mean, which is why I'm fascinated by it, because it's like there's that one recently of like all of the alien immigrants coming in to assault people, or like the gay people dancing around in like the little speedos or whatever in front of children. It's like man, why are you thinking about this constantly? Why are you obsessed with like trying to do, I'm gay. I'm not thinking about this shit constantly. I'm queer, I'm all sorts of stuff. Why is this occupying? It seems to occupy your mind a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. It's very interesting. It's kind of like, I wonder why he's so obsessed with queer people. And specifically trans people. Very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about before how it's always the stupidest fucking moronic thing to be like, oh, you're secretly trans. Because most of the time it's not that. It's just some aggressive asshole dude. But Tatsu, you can't help but get the pangs of the lady doth protest too much, sometimes.
Absolutely.
Like you said, you were reading some egg-ass comics of Tatsu's.
Yeah, like there's a bunch of like running things that happen in the comic that have been going on for years, even before he took his turn into TERFdom, which we'll talk about. And one of them is there's the trans state. There's a certain field in the world of Sinfest, where if characters walk into the field, they switch gender, which is like, okay, interesting. There's also the fact the character Squiggly cross-dresses a lot.
Yes.
There's the Mask Neek strips because Monique, who is the girl, she's a girl character. Yes. There's a whole thing where she's
girl character who is suspiciously has a similar body type to the way Tatsuya Ishida depicts himself in the comic.
Yeah. And kind of becomes the viewpoint character, like eventually.
Becomes the main character as Tatsuya starts to identify with women more over the course of the strip.
Now there's also the whole there's a subplot with what the fuck is that character's name? The Green Devil Girl. I cannot remember her name for the life of me now.
Oh yeah, where she's like some sort of devil sex worker, but then she gets out of the
Yeah, and there's this thing where she wants to be a real girl, like a human girl. So she's always like tucking her tail and trying to pass as like a human girl, and it's like, interesting. And
she's tucking her tail. She's tucking her tail. Someone should have got to him. Someone should have. No, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do what HRT would have saved Tatsu, but. Sometimes you get, it's stupid to joke about that, but sometimes it's very painful. Sometimes it's just, come on, girl.
I mean, that's the thing is like when I was reading I didn't notice this when I was younger, but when I reread it for the thread, I was kind of like, am I the only one seeing this? Because it feels kind of eggy. Yeah. And I actually had about like 3 or 4 different trans women come to me and say like, yeah, we used to read Sinfest because we identified so much with this storyline about the devil girl trying to pass as human. Mm-hmm. So it's like, okay, well, interesting. But I think honestly, the biggest tell for Tatsuya Ishida is, this is the thing I've noticed. Okay, this is only anecdotal, but like I've never met a quote guy who is into this thing who is actually a guy.
Yeah.
It's always like turns out like that she's actually a girl. But Tatsuya is really into wholesome lesbian cuddling. No.
Oh no. Oh my God. Pain. Oh, Jesus Christ. When you just see someone in denial and you're like, girl, no. I'm sure a lot of trans women were like that with me. When they were, it's like, this is fucking painful. Just come on. Come on.
I just really like seeing gals being pals, I just think it's really nice.
I like it when they're just, just doing stuff together and they're just with each other and it's nice. What guy doesn't like that? What man doesn't like, but
Yeah. So I just feel like these are like, there's something going on there. Like, I don't know if Tatsuya trans or non-binary or what, but like something's happening. I feel pretty confident in just making this blanket pronouncement.
Yes. No, obviously like we can't say anything. No, we can't say anything for sure. We don't know if but it's just, sometimes you see that. I mean, like, you also get this feeling from the strip of a guy who is very at odds with his masculinity. You know, like look at the major character who's this womanizing lout. What's the main character's name again?
Oh, Slick.
Slick, a womanizing lout. And there's also like a pig character. I think he was probably drawing a lot from Frank Cho and Liberty Meadows as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I hadn't thought about that, but you're right. I think he was.
Yeah, because that was like a sexy girl, like good draftsman, like sort of edgy strip that was about exploring masculinity. That also had like a pig character in it. Come to think of it.
Yep. I remember that, and like there's a lot of thematic overlap between those strips now that you mention it. But yeah, also because like when Tats finally does go second wave feminist, which is a weird turn.
Very weird turn.
Very weird. Like there's a lot of debate about that. Like people say that he got a girlfriend that like converted him, which is possible. I mean, that makes sense, but I don't know whether it's true or not. But once he does go second wave feminist, like there are a lot of strips where it's like men are scum, you can't trust men, even allies are evil. Like,
but that's a T-girl thing too. Like a period of intense misandry is a T-girl thing too, you know?
Yeah. Well, he even draws himself in the strip, like his own, not even like a self, like not a self-insert, but literally himself, the artist, like lamenting his bro dude past and how he's so terrible. And if only like, you know, even he can't be trusted. And it was like, oh yeah, this is again, kind of some T-girl energy going on here. You know?
Obviously we can't speculate. Of course it's wrong. Yeah. You know, of course you can't do it. Egg prime directive. We're going to egg prime directive Tatsu. No, but
do not show this podcast to Tatsu.
Do not show this podcast to Tatsu. It'll put him in the closet for another 10 years. Oh, but I mean, that is the thing. It's like this profound influence on me, who I think I know the answer to your problems, Mr. Ishida. If you could just let me in for a little, and you can't help him because, like you said, he's reclusive, like a pretty shy guy, it seems. Yep. And like, and who communicates primarily through his art. Who even in his artwork, when he depicts himself as alone in his house. That is how he depicts himself. He's never out with other people. He's never out with friends or anything like that. A very solitary existence, it seems like. Which is like, if he got a girlfriend, wouldn't he have depicted himself with his girlfriend? Because he depicted himself a lot, you know?
I mean, I would think, again, I don't know much about this. This is a story that's kind of circulating that he got converted. I think if you spend a lot of time on the Sinfest forums, you can probably dig up some more info because there was, when he went second wave feminist, his forums rebelled against him and he ended up banning everyone and basically turning it into like, this forum is now for sex negative feminism only. We're not going to talk about the comic anymore. It's only for that topic.
Well, so I mean, I like Andrea Dworkin because it's like good prose. So it's like it's fun to read Dworkin. It's like even if I don't agree with her, she's sort of like the Pauline Kael of feminism. It's like even if it's outrageous, you know, it's wow, you say it with a lot of passion, you know. So I sort of get it, you know. But that led to swerfism.
Yeah, I mean, he had the zeal of the new convert. And I have another theory about this turn into a second wave feminism, and which I think actually is bears out from reading the comic, and that is if you read the comic, it always does make fun of religion. Like religion is a big theme from the beginning. Yeah. It doesn't like really like it doesn't twist the knife. It's very kind of like gentle ribbing, you know, But it's obvious that this is an issue that's very important to him. Jesus is a regular character. Buddha appears. Yeah. It's the sense is that he's you know kind of liberal Christian almost. Yeah. And from the beginning, the characters in Sinfest are constantly. This is a recurring plot arc where Slick or the pig or whoever is trying to give up porn, and they just can't do it. Right? They're trying to give up porn, but they can't. No. Yeah. So, but the early years of Sinfest, when it's more like, dude, bro, the way it always ends up is like, it kind of feels like this. Tats is feeling guilty about jerking off, right?
Yep.
And because he's Christian and
Yep.
it's bad, right? But he can't give it up. So he is, but it's okay because it's a venial sin. Jesus still loves me. Hey, here comes Jesus walking down the street, just like a bro, and he's saying hi, and he's saying, "I still love you, dude." So it's fine. It's okay. It's okay if I jerk off, right?
Yeah.
He still feels bad about it, but that's his justification. Then he gets introduced to second wave feminism, and that's all like, "Hey, porn exploits women," and that gives him the oomph to finally to give up porn, or not give it up, but to say full-throatedly porn is bad and it should be banned or whatever. Yeah. Because he couldn't find Christianity couldn't give him that strength, but feminism did. So that's why
Jesus is permissive and Jesus forgives you, but Dworkin does not forgive. Dworkin never forgives.
Exactly. Yeah. So that is what leads him into like second wave feminism, because like it's big on like just anti-porn for a while, and that leads, of course, to sex work, the anti-sex work stuff. So he becomes a SWERF, and then, of course, it's just very smoothly glides into TERF stuff. And then once he hits TERF, that consumes everything. And that's all the major TERF obsession.
Yeah.
Yeah. And my thought, because early on, he's actually relatively pro-queer, you know, there's a gay character who's portrayed fairly well. There's a lot of talk about like diversity and plurality.
But well, I think because that is South Park. I remember like South Park did some bad trans episodes, and I'm not going to relitigate that. I still like South Park, even though they did bad trans episodes. But I remember like the first gay episode South Park ever did, and the one that I saw at like 7 years old when I was too young to be seeing it, was Big Gay Al's Big Gay Boat Ride, which was like very overtly pro-queer, very like, because, and I realized why that was, is because that's what the contrarian position was at the time. That's what the edgy position at the time was, being vehemently pro-queer, because that you could define yourself or sort of mark yourself as different or a free thinker in the same way that he was trying to mark himself as like a free thinking, like liberal, almost pseudo atheistic questioning Christian or whatever. It was sort of being radically pro-queer was a shorthand to be like, we're one of the smarter ones, Yeah.
There's definitely like a big contrarian streak in Sinfest, like South Park,
Yeah.
Because like when it gets into the Bush years, you can see he gets very like free speech absolutist. There's this big kind of libertarian progressive thing going on, I guess. And but yeah, like once he gets but later on, like, once he gets to the TERF years, it gets very weird because he seems to be okay. Again, this might be an eggy thing. Maybe, I don't know.
Maybe, who knows?
But like, maybe I'm going to just say what it's hard to parse out what he's trying to say, because he is very bad at actually like being coherent, because he tries to jam so much chicken fat into every strip.
His strips used to be very good compositionally and very good timing wise, but now it's as you say, the classic Mad Magazine chicken fat, just put so much fucking detail in the background because people got to get their money's worth or whatever.
Exactly. So you'll have a strip and the bad guy will have like, he'll have the trans pride flag, the Chinese flag, the hammer and sickle. It'll have the Twitter logo. It'll have, a pirate, Jolly Roger. It'll just be like, okay, what are you trying to say with this? There's like 800 things going on. But when it comes to, but trying to parse out what his beef with trans women was, early on, at least, it seemed like he was saying like, okay, the problem is they enforce the gender binary, which is bad. I don't like the gender binary, he's saying. And trans women enforce it because the existence of trans women means you can't be a femi guy. If you are a man who does not perform masculinity right, everyone's going to think you have to be a woman now. And which is also kind of makes me think like he's like, well, it just makes you think, gee, why are you worried about that?
Yeah.
I mean,
why?
I mean, seems an odd thing to be worried about.
Yeah.
Like that people are going to think you don't perform masculinity right, so you must be a woman. Like, why would you worry about that so much, Tatsu? I just don't know. So again. But
just
yeah,
pain, just endless. It really is Sinfest. I mean, the name really lives at the weight of sin in Tatsuya Ishida's eyes.
yeah, he is.
The denial of pleasure.
Suffering,
Yeah,
suffering for the sins of the world. This guy. But that's early on, at least. I mean, the longer he goes into TERF, the more it just kind of degenerates into, like gut revulsion to anything that is, outside of the narrow band of like reactionary thinking. So,
yeah.
and it gets weird because he starts being like, oh, the queers are going to put like adult babies on TV. And they'll have furries in like, the classroom and very typical, like,
they already put adult babies on TV and furries on TV. There were CSI. CSI already did that shit. What are you talking about?
20 fucking years ago, you're just a boat, man. But like, yeah, he's but like he does furries actually did not. I actually thought he was going to get really into being mad at furries. I thought that was going to come. And so far that has not really materialized.
That's a very old-timey internet shibboleth, though. That's like something awful. Like, that Yif in Hell is a very old, but I think, everybody, there's too many now. Actually, there's some of his fan base might be reactionary furries who are like weirdly wealthy who are paying him, like those odd right-wing furries who are like, I want to enforce, the gender binary. I am QAnon, but I am also a possum. Well,
no, actually, I got to correct you there. I've been furry long enough to know that every possum is an anarchist trans man.
Of course.
If you're a right wing and furry, you're a German Shepherd. That is how it is. Right.
That is the classic. The right wing furries are all the Nazi dogs. Yeah.
Yep. But yeah, he does not because I thought that was really going to be like a bugaboo because in recent years, as we live through this escalating moral panic, they keep trying to make furries be a thing, and that just ain't got no juice. Like people just cannot get motivated on that one. So I guess Tatsu couldn't either because he's been mad about a lot of weird things like surrogate parents. Surrogacy is a big one that keeps coming up.
What? What? Why surrogacy? Why does that make it? Because it's unnatural or something?
He seems to think that gay dudes are now stealing babies.
Well, what was that? Didn't just Shane Dawson have a baby recently with another guy, and that was a thing?
Was that?
That? I don't know who Shane Dawson is. I just know
everything's always a thing. Oh man.
But yeah. Gay people are stealing babies to do what? Yeah. To do White Walker stuff with them? To do what? Why are they stealing babies? For what purpose? To engay them and make them steal more babies?
The worst thing to raise them.
Right. To steal a baby and to raise them gay. You can't raise the baby gay.
Well, it is very funny when he gets into that because he's all like the surrogate mother is like, I just had the baby. Oh, it's being stolen to give to like gays. And it's like, didn't you know that was going to happen? That's how it is when you're a surrogate. Yeah. I mean, you don't get to keep the baby. That's kind of how it works.
Well, I mean, the thing is, there is a real conversation to be had there with the adoption industry. And, there are real problems, but he's not focusing on those problems. He's focusing on this ludicrous made up scenario that he has in his. I mean, it's the classic line is conservatives make up a guy to get mad at.
That is his modus operandi. I mean, he has been, he's really gone in on all in on the groomer panic. Like that's been a thing for him for a few years now. He, even when he's sort of like, kind of like when that stopped clock twice a day type thing, he's also still wrong because I just checked in on him yesterday. Yeah. And I was like, I wonder what he's been up to since last time. And the last year, Sinfest has basically completely excised all its characters, all its running gags and plot lines and everything. Yeah. And now it is just it is just the gift pilts, basically. Yeah. Which is funny because he's very correctly noticed that there's a genocide in Palestine and protesters are being brutalized. for being anti-genocide. And he's like, he's figured those out. Good for him. But he also thinks it's because like Jews run the world secretly.
Yes. Yeah, he does. He's gone full into the anti-Semitic conspiracies, which is really interesting.
Yeah, that's the thing that I did when I did the thread, like the very last strip that I read, because I had read it up to the day that I got to it. That
was it the Jewish space lasers one? The Elon Musk Jewish space lasers one? Yeah.
Jewish space lasers. Yeah. That was the first mention of that. So I was thinking like, I bet I know where this is going. But I was still surprised that he actually did go there, like as much as he did.
He actually drew a full-on like Elders of Zion guy in that Jewish space lasers one.
Incredible. I mean, he's drawing Jews as like orcs and vampires. It's just like, it is it's like literally it's Stone Toss now. It's basically Stone Toss.
Yeah, except Stone Toss Stone Toss has a better mastery of, I don't like the guy, but the dude the reason why he's popular is because he's a Nazi that can tell a joke, right?
Yes.
Nazis usually aren't, that's why Trump is popular, well, Trump is less of a Nazi than, I'm not going to debate that, but a fascist that can tell a joke is a powerful thing, because usually fascists are pretty uncharismatic, they're like Nick Fuentes types, but it's scary if a fascist can tell a joke well, actually, because a joke is about logic, right? A joke is about illustrating some sort of logical incongruency, right? So it's a very powerful rhetorical tool if you can articulate a point that way. Which Stone Toss, for whatever else I can say about that, he just has that ability. He knows timing and punchlines and stuff, and he's good enough at that he's popular. Whereas Tatsu cannot, it's like Stone Toss, but without the craft, which is terrible to say about somebody. Actually, there still is craft, but it's like, it's like, I was talking about the thing that I would compare it to mostly is Dave Sim and Cerebus, Dave Sim's Descent into Cerebus, where he just stops drawing altogether and then starts going on very Jordan Peterson-esque rants about how men are light and women are dark. And,
Yep.
And that same type of insanity and that same type of fully like dream-like magical, like subconscious id nightmare insanity as well, where it's just like you're dreaming all of this is just this tortured consciousness because you can't admit that you're fucking, I'm not going to. Nah.
I mean, it's weird to read New Sinfest because, like he said early on, he can tell a joke. He understands the craft of comicking. Now, one of the things I said in the thread was like, it's like, if you look at a political cartoon, and there you got like the Statue of Liberty crying, you got like Uncle Sam, you got like a big fat pig in a top hat that says, government pork on his chest or something, all the political cartoon shit. It's like Sinfest is like that, but it's like the political cartoon has ended and all those characters are just walking around doing like normal stuff. And, you're kind of like, you're supposed to deal with or like identify them as their symbols, but also as just regular characters.
Yeah.
So it gets very weird because, like, for one example is like there's this long storyline where Uncle Sam wearing an Uncle Sam hat that has like the Black Power fist and the Facebook logo and the queer flag and just all the stuff.
Yeah, woke Uncle Sam. Woke Uncle Sam. Yeah.
Woke Uncle Sam.
He also has Enron for some reason. That's funny.
It's just everything. It's like everything that he doesn't like is on there, and it's like
the universal. That's fascism, right? You create and anti-Semitism, right? The universal, all-encompassing theory. It doesn't matter if it doesn't make sense. Everything is against you. It's all one big conspiracy against you, right?
It's the octopus monomyth. It's just everything is linked. And so he'll have the Uncle Sam. And there's this plot where Uncle Sam is married to Lady Liberty, and he's addicted to internet porn of like bombs and stuff. And it's like, okay, this is a commentary on American imperialism, but it's also just supposed to be a plot line about porn addiction between this couple. Like, you're supposed to see it on multiple levels.
This is crazy. This is like Baudrillard's head would be spinning. Yeah,
it is just. It is, there's so many layers in this, and I'm sure it all makes sense to Tats. As you're reading it, but also he can't tell a story anymore things just spin their wheels constantly.
Yeah.
Like he'll introduce a character, and that like he introduced this character called Vainglorious, who is a devil, like a David Bowie kind of androgynous devil character.
Mm-hmm.
Introduced this as like a character who's like has a plot to take over hell from the devil, and this character has done nothing for 10 years.
Yeah.
Just floated around in the background of the comic, and it's like, dude, do something, you know. But every year he has a mech fight. There's a big mech fight. You know,
the yearly mech fight you have, of course. Well, because he's a great artist. The art's still good. Whatever else, the art is still top notch. So you got that going for you, Tats.
He's really good at drawing like big robots.
Yeah.
So there'll be a big robot. Eventually, the big robot starts to represent like porn. Then it was a pimp robot, and this year now it's a Jewish robot. So it's a big rabbi robot with a big Star of David on it.
I mean, I kind of I kind of like that. I mean, the anti-Semitic pro-Palestine people are very, because I'm very pro. I'm Jewish. I'm extremely pro-Palestine. Yeah, I'm very anti-Israel. But as we all know, being genuinely anti-Semitic hurts the cause. Don't do that. Please don't. But it's always funny to me when someone believes in the right thing for the wrong reasons. That's always hilarious to me. It's like, yeah, we love Palestine. Woo! Because we hate the Jews. No.
I have to say that like reading through his anti-Semitic strips is weird because I can't tell. Some of them I'm like, is there a new anti-Semitic stereotype that I am not aware of? Because like, he has this running thing about like his evil Jewish stand-in, who's like obviously like a guy with the big beard and I don't know what you call those hats.
He's got the rabbi, the Orthodox Jewish guy. I don't know what the proper name for it. Does he have peyotes?
Curls,
the peyotes? Yeah.
Yes. The whole, again, gift pelts type drawing, who always seems to want to fuck a cow. And I'm like, is this a thing that I'm not aware of? Like,
no, people are into cow people. Doja Cat did a whole song about it. She got popular with a song about it.
Oh, this is a thing?
Oh, does he want to fuck an actual cow or like a woman with cow features?
No, an actual cow.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, that's weird. That's
okay. It's like I was looking at it. I was like, is this like a new thing, or is this like some sort of like ancient anti-Semitism that there's been forgotten? In the years.
Oh, he says that Jews are cow fuckers? That's a thing?
Yes, that's his thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I can see how I can't see. Like, it would make more sense if they were pig fuckers, right? That would be like a kosher, that would be the more logical anti-Semitism. But it's a very illogical anti-Semitism. What do they have to do with beef? Is that like a graven calf thing? I don't get. What is the? Oh, that's might be it, actually.
Like the pig thing, like if it was a pig, like it wouldn't be good, but I would understand it. Like I'd be like, I get it. Yeah, I get what you're saying, man.
The anti-Semitic tropes. They're right. Yeah.
Yeah, but he is just, it is such a, I can't understand what he's trying to say. Plus, he's been obsessed with like he's trying to turn he's using like Lord of the Rings now as like a metaphor for Israel-Palestine. And it's very strange.
Wait, is Hamas the hobbits in this case?
Yes, because the Jews are the orcs and they're coming.
That's not, regardless of my feelings of Israelis, don't dehumanize people when you depict them. That's generally a bad move.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
Don't depict people as cockroaches even if you hate. I hate fucking Israel. I hate the IDF. I dislike that country. I think it should be dismantled. I am not going to depict them as cockroaches. That is off the table. Off the table.
He did a thing because he has been like, I think he's been talking about like, because the forces of Goth Zog is what he keeps calling it.
Oh, that's pretty good, actually.
Yeah,
that's all right. That's pretty funny.
I was actually kind of like, Zog. I haven't heard that one since the days of Waco and Ruby Ridge.
Timey. That's so fucking. That's old timey anti-Semitism. Like, oh my god.
That's the thing is like, I was like, man, he is digging deep for this. Like he really wants to distinguish himself. You know what? Maybe it's this. Stone Toss has cornered the market on all the youth. So he's going to appeal to the old, like Richard Nixon style anti-Semites.
He's going to start doing a bunch of Charles Lindbergh comics. He's going to do a big Charles Lindbergh thing. Yeah.
I will say that the anti-Semitism is at least it is a breath of fresh air after 10 plus years of just transphobia. So at least it's different.
Yeah, at least it's different now, I'm Jewish, so all of these jokes are fine. I'm going to blanket all of these jokes are fine. It's fine. 10 years beating up the trans. Give the Jews a shot. That's a more classic hatred anyway. Trans is all new. You're going back to a more traditional style of hatred.
Yeah. It's like, look, the Jews have had it too good for too long. It's time they got brought down a peg.
Yeah.
It is funny that but his recent years have forced him to pretty much get rid of Monique, his girl self.
I love Monique. Honestly, talking about being an eggy teenager and being like, I wish I could be her. It's weird when you do, because the cheesecake stuff, and because he doesn't even depict her that sexually. She's clothes. She wears a midriff, but she's always there's that. Talk about another T-girl thing. I wish I was pure. I wish I was pure. Yep. That's what you get when you look at Monique, this little stubby guy, always aspiring to her benevolent benedicting femininity and never able to reach it, and eventually starts I think when I was a kid, I probably, thinking back at it now, I identified with Monique. I wanted to be Monique. Of course.
Monique, she's the it girl, that's the thing. And
she has purple hair like a cool, T-girl, like a fucking, she wears a little daisy on her shirt. She's,
I mean, there's a reason Monique was the breakout star of the strip. Everyone liked Monique. She's gone under, and she did the thing where she was like, the first few years, she's like kind of again, South Park era, like, hey, I'm an empowered slut and proud of it, like that kind of thing. I just love fucking dudes, but it's empowering and good, and when I do it.
Third wave, and then, he was a third wave feminist at one point.
And then when it gets to second wave feminism, that's when she starts rejecting femininity, and she's like, I need to be more masculine, which is interesting. So she kind of starts, and that's when she starts her cuts her hair a little, and all that stuff. And then she comes out as a lesbian, and then she's dating Devil Girl, and there's the wholesome lesbian cuddling, which goes on for a while. But then once he becomes a TERF, Monique gets rejected from the queer community for speaking the truth about gender. She goes into a lesbian bar where, of course, and she's like, oh no, it's all huge buff hairy men in dresses. Those aren't lesbians. You can't be a woman. It's already
been established that she likes fucking huge buff hairy men, so I don't get it. What's the
Not anymore. She's sworn off dick because men are evil now. So she is what is it? She's a 100%, gold star lesbian now. But she gets kicked out of the queer bar, and she goes to the MAGA cafe, where she laments how the left and queerness are all fash now. And so she's now politically homeless, and she literally uses that phrase that she is politically homeless now.
Oh my God. He doesn't know anything. He just got, I don't know if he started reading Daily Wire. He started reading something, but yeah.
It is, and that is the end of Monique. She hasn't appeared in like a year since then. So it's just kind of, I don't know. I find that kind of sad that it's just like, he can no longer, because his politics have become so rancid, he can no longer identify with his own self-insert. He had to write her out of the strip because, it's I don't know what to make of that.
Forbidden.
It's forbidden.
You can't even, because it's all about that. I can't experience pleasure. Pleasure is bad. Yeah. I hate porn. My porn addiction is embarrassing because it means that I have no self-control, right? Pleasure is bad. It's, that Christian thing that rears again. It's because it's embarrassing and, genuinely vulnerable, and, people might think you're weird, and people tell you it's bad all the time. So it's like, what are you going to do? And eventually, if you have that, which a lot of, I did for a while. I mean, that's why it took me long to, I can't expose myself. I can't like the way I look. I can't like my body. I can't be, carnal or like have any sort of sensual pleasure whatsoever, because there's just all of this fucking shame attached to it. And I don't know why. And so it's just, look at Slick. He's short, non-traditional male who overperforms masculinity because he feels awkward talking to beautiful women. God, pain. I was like, I know that pain. Oh my God. Holy shit. Yeah.
I feel like all the pieces, like when you look at it, it's like, you can see all the pieces kind of fitting together.
Oh, short little guy talks to a tall, gorgeous, feminine girl who feels weird about that and is like, I would do anything for you. Yeah, I know that. I know that pain,
I mean, there is literally the strip where Slick walks into the trans zone and turns into a girl and was all like, "Oh, this is not so bad." And it was like, oh.
Which you can't read into it
that.
Because like gender swap is a very common cartoon idea. You do the gender swap episode because you run out of ideas for cartoons. Whatever, it's funny to imagine, right? And because there is some truth to the idea that everybody imagines themselves as the different gender. That whole thing is like, oh, every boy, imagines themselves as a girl, right? Which is that common touchstone for trans people. But that is, I think people do have that thought. Even pretty cis guys often will entertain that thought, but then are pretty affirmed in their masculinity again. But for some of us, that question sticks, So yeah, and obviously that question is stuck for Tatsuya because it's still what he's obsessed with. The Jewish thing is just like another way to say that I want to justify my self-hatred. How can I do it? How can because that's the thing. And it's also why I think why TERFism is so big in the UK is because there is something, if you can't feel pleasure like naturally through your own body, you can sort of feel it circuitously through this dance of repression, right? And that's what England is all about, is that dance of repression. It's like, we can't admit we are sexual or carnal creatures. We can't admit we're meat and shit. We have to be stiff upper lip, rigid robot people constantly. So how do we talk about sex? How do we get this beast out of us? Through tabloids. We get to talk about it through fucking, we get to read about the genitals, the filthy genitals, and get to fixate on that. But really what you're doing is titillating yourself, but you can also disapprove of it at the same time. And that's what I think is sort of the libidinal psychosis at the heart of all of it is and obviously I don't know psychology. I can't diagnose this I don't know what this person's hangups are really. And this is all pure speculation, but it's like, I've been through some of this before, it's like the reason why it is so painful is because you see how it could have gone for you, if just the wrong person had gotten to you, if you hadn't been loved by the right person. And, that's what it took for me. Trans people loved me at a time that I needed it. And, he didn't get that, I feel. And, it's sad.
Yeah. No, you're right. I think it's just again, we don't know anything about him, just that he's, very reclusive, keeps to himself, which, maybe is how he wants it. Maybe not. I don't know. It feels like, the person who got to him, who showed him love, happened to be a sex negative SWERF TERF, and that's we started him down that way, and look where it took him. It's funny because with web comics, especially from that era, it's like it's one of those things where, like, I remember in the day reading web comics, and it's all like in the early aughts, it's stuff like The Watch and El Guna Shive and stuff like that. So it's basically like, oh, you did a comic web comic in the year 2000. Well, you're either Tatsuya Ishida or congrats on your transition. You know, there's like nothing else. So, and it feels like, in fact, maybe it should have all just been congrats on your transition.
Yeah.
In a perfect world.
Well, but, I mean, talk about the path less traveled. I have a version of that, which is, I don't know if you know, but when I was a kid actor. And I did not know. Well, the weird thing about that is I was on the television show Arthur. And yeah, no, that's a weird fact. Yeah, Arthur the Aardvark. And I bring it up only because I've had this sliding doors moment before. I was a character called the Brain. And do you know who the guy directly before me was?
Wait, wasn't it fucking Steven Crowder?
It was Steven Crowder. I was the person who voiced the same character directly after Steven Crowder, which is my fucking sliding doors, there but for the grace of God go I moment, which is like, wow. And when I came out as trans, all the other T-girls were making jokes. Wow, it's funny that the Brain has been voiced by 2 trans women in a row. It's like... As I don't know about Steven Crowder, but there's some sort of shit going on there. I don't know. That's much harder to diagnose. I don't know if that's gay or trans or whatever, but that's like, there's something going on there.
Well, the thing is, we're lucky with Tatsuya because we have literally a daily record of his like id for like over 20 years.
Yeah.
Like Steven Crowder, I mostly know, is he the, I can't remember. Is he the one that's always, he's always cross-dressing?
He's always cross-dressing as a joke. Yeah, he's always cross-dressing as a joke. Right. And like, in order to be like, but that's the thing. I mean, even when Graham Linehan does it, it's that thing of like, if I just realize my worst fears, then I can fully excise the girl thoughts from my head. If I just look like I anticipate the worst version of myself is going to be, then I will not be plagued by these thoughts anymore. I will do bad drag intentionally to show myself that it cannot be done. And so I can be rid of this feeling that makes me ashamed, Yeah.
It just makes me think of that, like, I guess that thing that's going around with the Drew Carey egg jokes recently.
Yeah, this is what feel like what have a pussy. He went to fish. Yeah. He went to fish at the Sphere in Las Vegas, and they had a good light show. And he said, "This must be what it feels like to come with a pussy." I don't think he's trans. I just think that's that's a joke that a boomer. I think it was pretty funny. I like Drew Carey. I think I like the show.
No, it's I mean, I actually like Drew Carey as well. But someone was talking about that, and I think. Again,
there's a trans character on the Drew Carey show, played by.
Oh, that's right. Wasn't Drew Carey's?
Yeah, David Carroll, that character actor who's.
That's
Zodiac,
right. That's right. I totally forgot about that.
Yeah.
Someone was saying though that like it makes sense. It makes sense in the sense that like, oh, Drew Carey wrote Mimi as his fear of what he would look like as a trans woman, and it's like, yeah, I can see that in the same sense. But I mean, I don't know. I don't know enough about Drew Carey. I can't speculate about Drew Carey like I can about Tatsuya because I'm not a Drew Carey.
I mean, I would like to revisit that because I think the Drew Carey show, when I can recall jokes from it that I think are funny, and I think it might be one of those like, and it's very hard to access too, and I think Stealth might be one of like a stealth good 90s sitcom, like News Radio or something like that, or just he sort of flew under the radar. I still remember the themes. I don't know. I just always liked him for some reason. He's got that way about him. I don't know.
Oh yeah, I like Drew Carey. I actually the Drew Carey show was kind of important for me as a young'un because it had there was a particular plot arc where Drew Carey was dating a bigger woman. And like, as someone who likes bigger women, maybe someday would be a bigger woman. I don't know. I was like, oh, this is the best thing I've ever seen. It's like, I love this. Because it was also, I remember over the course of the season, she like gained weight. She got bigger. Which, of course, is 90s sitcom fat suit, which is not good. But, it's very rare to see a positive depiction of a fat person in a sexual relationship. So seeing that as a young person, I was like, that's fucking cool that they have that on the Drew Carey show,
Yeah, it's weird that it had, on Frasier, it went over differently because they were awkwardly trying to hide Jane Lee's pregnancy. But so it was all about how her fatness was some sort of deep-seated psychological problem. So, but, Yeah,
different. Yeah,
I mean, the Drew Carey show conversely also had Mimi, so it's like
that's true. Drew Carey's a land of contrasts.
Land of contrasts. I mean, Cleveland,
Yeah.
But that show had Diedrich Bader on it, who's like a comedy superstar, and Ryan Stiles, and Krista Miller was really funny on it. I will. There's that's something that's waiting to be an oral history of the Drew Carey show is waiting to be told.
Completely unrelated. This is amusing. I think it's amusing. You remember when Drew Carey was on Whose Line Is It Anyway as the host?
Yeah.
There's an episode of that show where I am sitting right behind Drew Carey. I was in the studio audience. And they came out and said, hey, you're going to be having Drew Carey, so you better laugh your fucking ass off or we're going to move you. So like every time the camera pans over Drew Carey, I've just like got this rictus grin on my face because I was like, I need to be on television. Oh, yeah. I cannot be moved.
Do you know the episode? Have you seen the episode?
I did see the episode. It aired, and my sister was like, "What the fuck? Who's that?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's me." But I have not seen it since. I don't remember which episode it is. So
yeah. I'll probably revisit the Drew Carey show, and it won't be good. But who cares? It doesn't matter. It won't have. Maybe it'll have aged as bad as Sinfest. I don't think it'll have aged as bad as Sinfest. Oh, maybe it will.
I don't. Yeah, I mean, I feel like Drew Carey is at the worst. I think it's probably like a product of its time.
I mean, I really want to because I remember the John Carroll Lynch plot, and like the point is that Mimi accepted Drew's brother. Because that's what you were a transvestite. You weren't. There was no trans people, but this was still like. I mean, look at Eddie Izzard, who called herself a transvestite for you. Actually, Eddie Izzard really helped me because the phrase male tomboy, if you're like having trouble coming out as trans because you're like, well, I like boy stuff, right? So I can't be trans because I'm, not all princessy or whatever. Then if you think of the phrase male tomboy for a while, it's like, oh, you can be that, can't you? And, I mean, she was saying she was a transvestite for years and now she goes by she, her pronouns now. And finally made that headway.
I mean, it's good that like I think obviously it's really good that like trans people exist now and they've always existed. Yeah. But there is something I feel like we used to have when these categories were a lot weirder and more porous. When there were like transvestites and boy dykes and girl fags and whatever. All that weird stuff. It's unfortunate that a lot of that has kind of been. Everything's been collapsed into much more rigid categories now.
Absolutely.
But
I've seen people take it back. Like people take back transsexual. People are taking it because they think it's funny, which I do too. I think I am a transsexual. Yeah, it's very funny because I know it has nothing to do with sexuality, but it's a funny phrase, can't I? It's in the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
It's kind of like it's just nice because it's like, oh yeah, I remember that. That's a classic.
Yeah, that's an old hit. It's like Hanky Code, or just like you ever read those old like '80s gay comics, or there's this old lesbian comic that gets distributed of a girl walking into a lesbian bar and being like, where are all those big tough men with those motorcycles? And all these bush lesbians are looking at her. She doesn't know. But I love those, or like the really sad old 80s comics about all your friends dying of AIDS, and it's like these cute characters crying over an AIDS.
Oh, yeah.
Those things fill me.
Oh, my God. Yeah, I remember those.
Joy because they're very sad, but the fact that it's like, it's documents, it's history, it's continuity, it's queer preservation, and, telling the story, that's what fills me with joy. Obviously not the mass death, but. It's just, it's a part of our history, and it's like, it's funny seeing things from the 80s where it's like, some queer interest movies. I'm really excited about this, the story of the rowing team at Harvard all getting AIDS. And it's like, they're all kind of a lot. There's a lot of that. But I mean, that was what was on people's minds, of course. Mm-hmm. That was the actual history that was happening. So, it reflects it. Cruising got reclaimed. Every cruising was hated by gays at the time, and now every queer person I know loves cruising and is like, I know I watched Cruising recently. When I was watching it, when I thought it was a cis gay guy, I was like, I was identifying with the circuit queens in it. But when now I look at the girls who get assaulted by the police in the beginning, I'm like, me. I shouldn't have put it that way, but I mean, they're great, in terms of like, no, Schrader got it. He got I don't normally, not every cis person, and the way that trans people are like depicted in 80s and old media is like they tend to traffic on that same like inherent idea of luridness to trans people or whatever. That's and that was par for the course. But in terms of like a real human depiction of like a trans sex worker, Cruising is pretty fucking good, I gotta say. Those characters they're not heroic, but they're very sympathetic. The movie wants you to feel sympathy for them. The movie tells you the cops are fucking monsters that are doing this to them. It's like and that's how even I haven't been fucking assaulted. I shouldn't have said that's why it was phrased very poorly. But we've all, I think a lot of D-girls have at one point or another felt under the thumb of like an aggressive man at some point, or have been dominated by a man that was more aggressive than them. And when you're still think you're cis, you're working out what does that mean? Why does this make me feel so fucked up? And then eventually you arrive at the answer. And maybe Tots. Yes. Yeah, that's a recurrent thing in the strip. Is Slick getting dominated by the pig man constantly, or being cowed by the pig man as well? Is that he doesn't fit in necessarily to this traditional masculinity and overperforms it poorly and doesn't have an answer why he can't get it right. Yeah. He's even got like the little evil doppelganger who like, he's always fighting with too. He's got a little devil Slick that comes out and is all like, oh, this is how to do manliness right. And he's like, no, I don't want to do it that way. I want to do it. And it's like, okay. Okay. Oh God. Can we kidnap him and just do like I know like Egg Prime Directive and everything, but can we just like do the Ludovico technique and like show him, like just force him to watch Sophie videos or something like that?
I'll say this, that like when I first read through the strip, I was like, okay, this egg thing is interesting, but the porn thing, I mean, that is the real thing that's at the heart here. But the more I discuss it, the more I'm like, no, these things, first of all, these things are intertwined. Yes, but absolutely. Like I'm really thinking, feeling ashamed about porn because you objectify women, but for some reason it creates this deep internal struggle in you because you realize eventually that you have misogyny. No, I get it. I get it, man. I get being ashamed of jerking off. Yeah, I get it. If only. Oh my God. I've kind of like, at this point, like I'm kind of fully on board. Like, there's no way that Tats isn't something. God. Yeah. We've been subtly convincing ourselves, but I mean, you see people like that who like where it seems obvious and they just hold on to that the meager pleasure that they get from that repressive dance because that's all they know. And they're unwilling to change. That's the thing. I mean, I'm sure, you can, this you can probably speak to this. I assume, if you're miserable long enough, it's all and it becomes comfortable in a way. And you kind of are afraid of anything different, Well, the other thing that he does is I did this too when I was, still had the boy switch turned, is that rage is pleasurable because it gives you an adrenaline rush, but it's a bad adrenaline rush because then you get a bunch of fucking cortisol afterwards and you feel like shit. So if that's the only way how to generate pleasure is by getting angry, that's what you're going to do. Because we need pleasure. But if you're ashamed of pleasure, you're going then it's the only game in town. It's rage. And that is all. I mean, that is all. Sinfest. When it became, because early on, like, there's a lot of anti-porn strips, but like it's still like about making a joke. And once he kind of starts getting into TERFdom and SWERFdom, there's no jokes. It's just him being mad all the time about everything. And also, my God, just bringing in so many random, like whatever he happened to see in a movie that day is now going to become like a metaphor that he will flog for like years to come. Like when he's all like, oh, by the way, there's handmaidens in this world now. Okay.
Sure.
It's like,
Yeah.
but it's like there's like 8 different kinds of sex workers in the world of Sinfest, where it's like we got devil girls, we got fembots, we got like handmaidens.
Why are you
They're
obsessed
all
with drawing all these pretty girls, Tatsu? Why are you, why do you want to keep doing that, huh?
he just
These
really
pretty
likes,
girls who are at odds with exposing their sexuality. Why do you like doing that, Tatsu?
he just really loves drawing leggy waifs,
Who doesn't? I mean,
like,
we all do. And there are plenty of people that draw leggy waifs that aren't trans. Like, of course,
Yeah.
Dan DeCarlo. Although sometimes I wonder about the Archie comics people. No. But HRT have saved Dan DeCarlo. No, Dan DeCarlo wasn't trans.
Well, then we know.
I'm not gonna read that. But yeah. But yeah, the more I think about it, yeah, this is like we got to save him. We got to deprogram it. We got to go to the bunker. We got to go to the Sinfest bunker. We got to. No, obviously not. But if he does somehow listen to this, there is this desperate part of me which wants to say, Tuts, it's not too late. There's some people who are like, I will say no to, like Blair White. I'll say no to. No, it's too late for you, Blair White.
Yeah,
but because they figured it out. She got her shot, she got her chance, and she still went to the dark side. But he hasn't got his shot yet.
Yeah. He could have that deathbed revelation. There's still time. It's like
there's still time. I want to do Christmas Carol for Tatsu, the trans Christmas Carol for Tatsuya Ishida. There's still time, man. It doesn't have to be like this.
I came into this today just being like, oh, fuck this piece of shit, Tatsu. Just what a garbage pail. Yeah. And now I'm just like, I feel like he just has not been given the opportunities that maybe I have been given, maybe
morally lucky, as they say. I don't want to pull it for that. But.
Well, yeah, but like I'm just saying, it's like now I do feel like kind of a sympathy for him. Think like, could it still be different? Could he still be some God? Tatsu, if you're listening to this, we've read the strip, we've heard the cry of pain.
Yeah,
we've heard it. Maybe that's all you need, someone to hear it.
Yeah, and we don't judge it because we've been like this too. We've had these weird ass thoughts as well because that's what you do because life is weird. And, you shouldn't I think I would also be less willing to forgive him if like he doesn't have much of an audience anymore. He's not a big influence. No. He's not like Blair White or like Brianna Wu in that they still have an audience willing to lap up their shit. He's completely isolated now, which is also why, maybe if you somehow ends up in his ears, you could talk, get in touch.
Because he basically he burned all his audience when he went to second wave feminism. Like he had the big dude bro audience, and they all left. Yeah. And so for years he was just kind of like in the TERF and SWERF, where before it was big, so nobody cared and nobody was listening. And now that he's gone full fash, it's like, I'm sorry, you're too late. That audience is already they're all reading Stone Toss. They're not going to come to you. You're not going to get anything there. So I don't know. Just give it up. Let go. You can just let go and
be free, man. You don't have to do. The trans coming out comics. If you think about, because as I'm coming out, and I've talked to other T-girls about this, once you start getting your gender euphoria on, you get that weird burst of energy. You get that weird burst of because clarity, because that's what it is. It's just sudden clarity, which gives you the ability to organize your thoughts. And that's what I see with these fever dream id comics, just someone who is lost,
Oh my God. Can you imagine what the Sinfest trans coming out comics would look like? Because they would just be these incredible, because he is such a great artist, these tableaus of I don't even know what kind of symbology he would invent to that is the thing, is he has such a beautiful mind that I feel when we're talking earlier about the kind of coming into gender and seeing the fractal patterns of the universe.
Mm-hmm.
Just imagine his Tat's third eye opening, and the universe as he would see it would just be like something, beyond anything that we could imagine. I can't imagine the kind of mech fights that he would be putting in.
Oh my God! What if instead the evil mech was J.K. Rowling? It was TERFs, and there. What if instead?
You know what? I mean, oh God, I really hope he hears this and gets inspired.
Because it's also like the dude was a genuine and that's the thing is like when he had it. Sinfest at its best, when it was doing its dramatic arcs and its arcs about spirituality, was fundamentally about the struggle to be a better person and how he desperately wanted to be a better person. And it seems that's the other big shift with conservative attitudes is you see it with TERFs too. I think a big thing with Chappelle too was it happened to coincide with him thinking that I am the greatest comedian of all time. You get up on your pedestal, you think that you don't have any more room to improve, and then you stop improving. And and that's what was lost. There was this desperate need to not criticize himself anymore, but to criticize only other people and to stop that journey of self-improvement. And, what is not the trans journey, but the journey of self-improvement, right?
I mean, that's the thing is like Tats has been spinning his wheels for a long time, and he's just doing the same plots over and over. He drawing the same robots. I mean, he finds new hates, but he's not like Sinfest isn't going anywhere. And we mentioned earlier that like one of the beautiful things about like finding your gender, realizing your gender, I think even especially I think if you do it later in life, is the realization that like this journey isn't over. I'm not ready to walk into a grave right now. There's still so much to discover and learn.
Yeah.
And if Sinfest like found that, the journey of discovery and learning would just be amazing to see.
But he would have an answer to everything. He would even, it would be such an incredible arc too of like this guy going to the ultimate darkest depths of, we joke about some T-girls are like, I had a Nazi phase back, but it can really, and we say, fuck those T-girls. Cause obviously fuck you for having a Nazi phase, but I sort of, not that I understand, but look at this guy. This wasn't a radical guy. He got radicalized because he was vulnerable and the wrong person got to him first,
Yeah.
I don't think he had this in them. You read old Sinfest and it's like, it didn't have to go down this way, Yeah,
because that's the thing. Early Sinfest, he was a big fan of Obama. He really believed in Obama. He believed in like, I know. He was a big like, God, what is it? The Occupy protests. Oh, he loved them. He thought they were the greatest thing. Even when George Floyd was happening, he was still like on board with that. And then to see like from those, kind of like, not like he was like a deep political thinker, but like it's like at least kind of centrist liberal at the worst, then just absolutely go off how he has is like it didn't have to go that way. You see people who like start out that way and do the complete. I've seen lots of people who start as shit libs who go Nazi, and other ones start shit libs and go like full on anarchist leftist. So you never know.
Look at that Dasha interview, the famous Sailor Socialism Dasha interview. The Rebel News media person, not the Rebel, the InfoWars lady that was interviewing her, she's a leftist now, and Dasha has the Thielbucks. So there you go.
I mean, what a world.
What a world. Anything can, change, changes. And which is why, I don't know, what also got to me and why I finally reconcile with being trans is don't you just get tired of being like, lonely in that way? Maybe, it's different for some people, but there was even if you're with someone, there is still that sense of, I am not being fully reached. There is still some sort of blockage of me not being able to receive love. I'm still receiving it, but it's like muffled, and so it's like, I wonder if this guy has ever received like love, like full 100% love,
Yeah, yeah. Man, but for the grace of God,
But for the grace of God, Steven Crowder, I don't know, but Steven Crowder, I'm less sympathetic towards, once again, because like the don't have as great of an access to his id, but
yeah.
yeah.
Plus, he's causing more damage because he's got he's got a following. I assume.
No, not anymore. Not since. No, he's been hemorrhaging, followers. Actually, I've been sort of reveling in it because.
Oh, really? What a shame!
As Steven Crowder's star falls, mine rises. I shall be. I am the alpha brain. I am the one that shall take the mantle. We have talked about Tatsu so we've been harping on would HRT have saved her thing. We can't say. Obviously, this is all just speculation. Who knows? Who the fuck knows, right? But a lot of the signs are there. A lot of them are there.
We're saying this podcast is for entertainment purposes only.
For entertainment, there's no legal repercussions. I don't want to do any defamation or anything by suggesting, but I'm just saying a lot of Tatsu's preoccupations I have shared. So yeah.
Tats, please unblock me on Twitter so that I can at you this podcast because
we can help.
Yeah.
Let's talk about you are a comics author and an artist. We're getting to the back end of the show, which is time for. But I wanted, before we do straight up plugs, let's talk about you're a horror artist. How did you get into that? How did you get into the horror comic genre?
Oh, geez. Well, it's I just been I just love horror and I love comics. So that's kind of just, natural progression. I'm trying to think. My big one was probably I did a comic book adaptation of the Malleus Maleficarum, which is the famous medieval witch hunting manual that helped to kill some 40,000 to 60,000 women all through Europe. So I was like, this is going to be a great lighthearted comic. I'm just going to adapt this. To pick that up from your local library or from my Itch.io account. Also, people may know me as sorry. Should I just ramble on and talk about all my shit now?
I want you to talk about all your shit because you're a very good author and people should know. People should know about Bitter Karella.
Thank you. Otherwise, I'm also known as creator of the Midnight Pals, which is a Twitter microfiction account about what if all your favorite horror writers were to gather on the campfire, Are You Afraid of the Dark, and talk about, funny shenanigans. You can find us on Twitter at midnight_pals or Midnight Pals with no underscore on Blue Sky or just midnightpals.com. Mm-hmm. Which also we're doing a podcast, so check that out too, I guess. We're trying to do right now, we are running an Indiegogo to fund the second season, so hopefully actually pay the actors this time around because they're doing God's work there. Mm-hmm. And also check out this July, I will be my novella, The Ballad of Horse Girl, which is a weird Western horror, is coming out as part of Tenebris Press's Split Scream 5. So,
hell yeah.
Very exciting. I think that's my major stuff that I got going.
That's all the major. Well, you got a lot of irons in the fire because you're still creative because your energy has not been sapped by TERFism.
That's right. That's right. I'm saying, Tats, you could be like me. You could be like me, Tats. You
could have a lot. There's more irons in the fire. Not just doing Nazi comics for an audience of 5 weird guys anymore.
That's right. Exactly. Look, I'm just saying, there's so much potential. So many other things you could be doing right now.
Don't you just want to be Monique? It's okay to be Monique. You can just be Monique. It's fine. Just change your name to that even.
I mean, yeah. Oh God. That's probably he was. Tatsuya was a girl, but you'd be a good name. Monique.
Oh my God. Oh no. Fucking. I slowly convincing ourselves that we need to rescue this girl over the course of this has been very nice to have you on, Karella. I thought we would get really angry, but I end up seeing weirdly positive from this, more sad than angry, more sad than anything else.
Yeah. Well, she could. Oh my God, I'm starting to reference.
You're starting to give her she/her pronouns.
Yeah, like
well, the more that I think about it, it's like, yeah, Jesus Christ, it's so obvious. It's all so obvious.
It all fits together, and I'm sorry. It's like it would be also. I'm sorry. It would be funny beyond all belief if she listens to this podcast and this is what finally cracks her egg.
This is what does it. It wouldn't do. I think we are violating the emperor. This will drive her even more into the Nazi cause. I'm saying her too. Jesus Christ. We have done this. We have cast the spell. It's going to happen now. We have cast the gender spell. Any day now, Tatsu is going to come to the realization. He's going to buy the Mac. He's going to buy the Mac black lipstick and then cry in front of the mirror for 30 seconds.
She's going to get the fucking IKEA shark. She's going to buy a choker.
My God, yeah.
What all the start sitting weirdly on counters. I don't know what other
the programmer socks, the striped programmer socks. Yeah, it's all good.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God, yeah. Puppy girl shit. You're going to have a puppy girl phase. Yeah. Can't wait for that phase of the. I'm cycling through all of those jokes in my baby trans comics too. So it'll be funny to see Tatsu. I say it will, but this is going to happen, folks. It's going to happen. Mark my words. We have seen into the future.
We've spoken the words and like casting the spell. This is magic where it's like the words have been said. This is reality now. So may it be.
Exactly. We have peered into our T-girl crystal balls. I hate myself for saying that. I hate myself for the obvious terrible pun.
Someone is just gonna be Tats. You got to listen to this podcast where
we're deprogramming you.
Where it's like it's 2 hours about how you're actually a girl, and she's gonna be like, you know what? I just think that's interesting. I just think it'd be really funny if I was a girl. Don't you think so? Yeah.
Yeah. I just try to dress as a joke. It's just jokes, It's just, a little joke. Yeah, funny joke. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, oh yeah, no, Tats. I know. I know 100%. Hey, Tats, I'm a funny guy too. I love dressing as a girl, just as a joke. It is so funny.
Yeah, Monty Python, Monty Python. Yeah.
It is like, that's the thing is like, there's like, I look at old photos of me like back in college, where I'm like, here, it's me as a girl, as a joke. Oh, it's still funny. It's still funny.
It's still funny. It's fine. Cross-dressing is I mean, that's the thing is like, it is funny, but it's also real. It's like, just approach it with compassion and then you can make good jokes about it instead of weird dreams. Look,
this is the thing is like half the jokes I make on fucking Midnight Pals are like, just like, it's really, it's Franz Kafka is trans.
Oh, yeah.
I just believe that.
Me too. Yeah, no, absolutely, for sure. Yeah. Kierkegaard, Kafka. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and it's just funny because it's just funny because people were saying this, and I was like, 100% trans, Franz Kafka. I believe it. This is true. And then people were like, H.P. Lovecraft trans. I'm like, no.
That's not the one. That's not the one. That doesn't track.
That does not track. It was like, get out of here. And it was funny because I was like,
but it's not the right type of body horror,
Yeah, I'm just like, I don't know how to explain this, but like, it does not make sense. You cannot square that circle, I'm gonna feel bad because because I'm gatekeeping.
Exactly. Yeah. What if he's not so bad? He did. People always comment on the racism, but he did. Right at the end of his life, he had a major turnaround. It's actually quite inspiring. It's quite astonishing.
I mean, plus there is the fact that like H.P. Lovecraft is like, look, he lived in the 1930s alone. He was very isolated, like Tatsu.
Oh my God. No, let's say that's the next episode I'll have you on is slowly convincing ourselves that H.P. Lovecraft was trans. That's the next one. But yeah, that's a good place to end. Karella, thank you so much for being on. It's been a pleasure to have you. I'd love to have you on again, maybe for that episode I just mentioned.
Absolutely. Pleasure to be here. Thanks so much for having me.
All right. Bye-bye, everybody. House of Decline is brought to you by members of our $10 Patreon tier. These include Big Fan of Noise, Cher, Constantine Bristow, Daniel Stern, David, Dr. Spichemin Zero, Dustin Koski, Fiat Lux, Grant Williams, Jody Shen, Jordan Rabbe, Keaton Livingston, Kevin Ott, Kimberly Latrune, Liz Heckmayer, Miles Forrester, Piscadoro, Stephen Pikelny, and Tor. Thank you for your support. We appreciate you, and have a fun time out there.